opinions or comments expressed on this program does not reflect the views, opinions, or comments of the radio station or its management.
You are tuning into Sports Geek with Sponelo Ngobo, only on Nirvana World FM. Your beat, your music. Halala. It is Saturday, the 20th of January 2024. Yes, it is the new year. New dreams, new opportunities, new, resolutions. Talking of New Year's resolutions, wow, whatever the New Year's resolution that you have set yourself, whether you are planning to lose weight, whether you're planning to go on a cruise, whether you're planning on securing that dream job of yours, whatever your New Year's resolution is, please try and ensure that you make means to turn that New Year's resolution into a reality. It is not enough to only set a New Year's resolution and you do not do anything about turning those New Year's resolutions into a reality. Remember, it all begins with a dream. It is all entirely up to you to turn that dream into a reality. Welcome to 2024. Welcome to the new year. Talking of a new year, this week we were overwhelmed by the matriculant results that were released this week. All I have to say is a job well done indeed to the 2023 matric class. They did exceptionally well against all odds. We saw them raising the bar and getting the best results of all time since for the past 30 years since the new dawn of democracy here in South Africa. We saw the matriculant 2023 taking the pass rate to 82.8, the highest ever since New Dawn, New South Africa was born. There was 30 years back. Well done indeed to the class of 2023. Talking of matriculants, as always, we saw Free State doing exceptionally well, continuing to be the trendsetter. Surprise, surprise, we saw KZN toppling the likes of your Gauteng and Western Cape the KZN, they took the second spot. At number 3, we saw Gauteng securing that third spot with the Northwest taking the fourth slot. Surprise, surprise, a bit of a disappointment for Western Cape. We saw them taking the fifth slot. At number 6, the most improved province, that is your Eastern Cape. They did exceptional well this season, this year rather. They secured the second slot nationally. And then at number 7, whom do we have at number 7? Oh, it's none other than Limpopo province. It secured that number 7 slot, with number 8 taken by Northern Cape. At number 9, that is Mpumalanga. Let's hope one of these years to come would see Mpumalanga raising the bar, improving as well, at least getting into the top 5, and the likes of Limpopo. Well, let's hope that one day we'll see Limpopo as well getting into the top 5, or even better, top 3. Congratulations indeed in all the 22 class of 2023 matriculants. Job well done indeed. You are tuning into Sports Geek with Sponelo Ngobo, only on Nirvana World FM. Your beat, your music. Halala. And then yesterday we saw under 19 cricket World Cup starting in earnest with the home side South Africa doing exceptionally well when they took on West Indies in that opening under 19 cricket World Cup. They put the West Indians into the sword when they beat them with 31 runs, with Kwena Amapaka running riot, taking 5 wickets, having considered only 38 runs. Job well done indeed to Kwena Amapaka and the SA under 19 cricket team. They did exceptional well indeed. They did well against all odds with the protest taking place against outside JP Marks Oval Stadium, with the fans protesting against the cricket South Africa for removing their former captain, that is David Tiga, that follows his comments that he made in pro-Israel comments over Palestine in that Gaza Strip war. So there we saw those protests taking place yesterday indeed. The big question is, would David Tiga be removed if he made pro-Palestine remarks, or is he only removed because he made pro-Israel remarks? We don't know. Well, if your guess is as good as mine, but the crunch of the matter is that David Tiga has been stripped his right to captain cricket South Africa under a 19 team, but they did well under those circumstances. Job well done indeed to cricket under 19 World Cup team. in rugby, we saw that Jacob Piper putting his whistle up, hanging his whistle up, retiring from officiating a rugby game after a 12 years long career that follows his lingering Achilles injury. He was left with no option other than to to hang his whistle and retire in as far as refereeing test games. He had a 12 years career and also officiating in 3 Rugby World Cups. Job well done indeed in as far as Jacob Piper is concerned. He hails all the way from the Free State, Bloemfontein to be exact. Hug Freestyle. You are tuning into Sports Geek with Sibonelo Ngobo, only on Nirvana World FM. Your beat, your music. Halala. A very good morning to you wherever you are within South African borders and beyond. We've got you covered. Don't you worry about a thing. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and allow us to entertain you. You are tuning in to Sports Geek with Sibonelo Ngobo, only on Nirvana World FM. Your beat, your music. You can always get in touch with us on our studio WhatsApp line number, which is 0733316934. Our studio WhatsApp line number again is 0733316934. TikTok and Facebook, we are there as Nirvana World FM. Talking of social media platform, you can always get in touch with me as well on my personal social media platform at Sibonelo Ngobo across all social media platforms. Thank you so much to my colleague. That is DJ Powen. While we kickstarted the show at the station this morning when he brought us Teen Kids. That was between 10 and 11 o'clock. Catch him again next week, Saturday, same time, same place, as he brings you Teen Kids. Don't you dare forget to bring along your dancing shoes, because surely those are dancing shoes. They will definitely come handy as DJ Powen gets everyone on the dance floor, you included. And surely those dancing shoes, they will definitely come handy and make you the best dancer in town. You and I, we are together from now till 1 o'clock. And now that I'm complaining, I just love the sound of it. Hoping the feeling is mutual or ganjan. We'll kickstart up the show by looking at the English Premier League, La Liga, and the Italian football, that is Serie A. And then come 5 past 12, rather, we'll be in conversation with our sports analyst, Modiba Pitt, and hear what he has to say in as far as the sporting world is concerned. We'll look at the African Cup of Nations that is currently taking place out in West Africa, that is in Ivory Coast, and we'll get to hear what he has to say in as far as tennis is concerned. We'll look in all of that for you. Surely you don't want to miss that by any chance. So surely if you know what's good for you, all you have to do is just stick around, and you will definitely be entertained, as I will be talking to our sports analyst Modiba Pitt, and hear what he has to say in as far, especially where Africa Cup of Nations is concerned, where South Africa is represented by Bafana Bafana. Did I say represented? Okay, let me leave it at that. I'll leave that to Modiba Pitt and get him to tell us, is Bafana Bafana representing us or misrepresenting us in as far as 2024 Africa Cup of Nations is concerned? We saw what happened this week, Thursday night, when Bafana Bafana, when South Africa took on the West African Giants, that is Mali, where Bafana Bafana eventually went down 2-0. After Bafana Bafana, they were awarded the penalty on the 90th minute, but they decided to balloon that penalty over the bar. That is bad indeed. Surprise it was, of which it was not surprising at all to see Bafana Bafana eventually going down 2-0 to the West African Giants Mali. There was a bad start indeed in as far as Bafana Bafana are concerned.
Welcome. This is your favorite station. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much to Khaled. He gave us a DD all the way from Algeria. Talking of Algeria, it is one of the countries that are doing exceptionally well in as far as the 2024 African Cup of Nations is concerned. Before that, we got Dala Tugzin featuring Zaba Sykes. They gave us Iplan. Surely this song was one of the songs that was tipped or expected to cross us over from 2023 straight to 2024, but some other radio stations from the public broadcast, they had other ideas. They did not play this song as the main song to cross us to 2024. And the fans, I remember one of the events that was held down in KwaZulu-Natal, Pietermaritzburg to be exact. The fans they threw stones, they threw missiles because they were so unhappy to learn that this song Iplan by Dala Tugzin featuring Zaba Sykes was not the one that was cross us over to 2024. Talking of passionate fans, they know their music, they know when they are being taken for a ride. So if you know what's good for you, try to give those fans some respect because they know their music, they know what they are dancing to. So if you were to come and try and force some song down their throat, surely you are guaranteed to get some pushback from the fans. We saw that happening down in Pietermaritzburg. We saw fans throwing missiles at some big MCs, big radio presenters in those events that were held in Pietermaritzburg showground. That was bad indeed to see radio presenters running for their cover with the fans throwing bottles, apples, you name it. The fans were having none of it. They wanted this song, Lala Tukzin, featuring Zaba Sykes, titled Enza Iplani.
Ever heard a baby bellow at the top of its lungs in a public place, far from your best music track, right? For a more beautiful note, contact Nirvana Sounds for your studio and live recordings. We engineer sound to perfection according to your specifications. We ensure crisp and clear audio-video conversions and delight your function with sound, stage and lights for hire. Our quotes are pleasurable to the ear. Contact us now on 083 945 7664. Nirvana Sounds, powered by Gospel World FM.
Looking to upgrade or repair your desktop or laptop? With over a decade's experience, TV Master specializes in software installations, data recovery, restores, PC rebuilds and conversions from VHS to USB or DVD. For no obligation quote, contact Pre on 011 855 6738 or 072 7706 796. TV Master, the name you can trust.
Imagine a world with hunger. Now you can change it. With Ashraful Aid, just 10 Rand feeds a hungry person. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org and donate a plate today. Your generosity changes lives. Let's feed the hungry.
A very good afternoon and a warm welcome, and you are still tuning in to our first show of the year. It is the 20th of January 2024. Good morning and warm welcome indeed. Kickstarting with our sports show, let's look at some English news. We remember that Ivan Toney, who's the star striker of Brentford of the English Premier League franchise, he has just concluded his 8 months ban for having flouted English Premier League's betting rules. So this afternoon he will definitely be back, and we are told that he is going to be in the starting lineup. As if that is not good enough, he will be leading, he will be captaining his side, Brentford, the Bees, this evening when they take on Nottingham Forest. Still with Ivan Toney, there are some rumors that the big teams, the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea, they are definitely chasing his signature. But this afternoon, the job at hand, all the eyes will definitely be on him and see how fit he is, considering that during his 8 months suspension, he was not allowed to train with his team, the Mighty Bees. That is Brentford. So we will be checking how fit and how ready Ivan Toney is this afternoon when he leads his sides. And the big thing, the big news that, like I previously said, that he will be captaining his side. Let's hear what his manager, Thomas Frank, has to say in as far as the return of Ivan Toney after that 8 months suspension.
Into the eyes of a player that are very committed, very excited, and can't wait. And I think I can break it now. He will start tomorrow, and he will also lead the team out of the tunnel. He'll be the captain because Christian is injured. So I'm pretty sure he is ready. His argument that he's maybe the second best striker in the Premier League right now. Last year I think he was the third after Kane and Haaland. Now he's the second, in my opinion. Of course, you need to prove it again. It's the same with a coach, with a team, with any player. But I see an unbelievable commitment that he want to go out there and help the team score goals and hopefully win. Early in these press conferences, that is 99 point something that he will stay here. Football is crazy, so you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. He's very committed to be here. He's very committed to help the team. I spoke with him yesterday about it. That's the only thing on his mind. We just have that 0.0 something number of craziness in football that you can't rule out. He want to stay here. He want to help the team. We want to keep him.
We apologize for that poor sound clip. That was Brentford manager Thomas Frank confirming that come this afternoon, Ivan Toney definitely will be back to lead his side, the Mighty Bees, when they take on Nottingham Forest. On the rumors of big teams chasing his signature, he said he cannot confirm that, as we all know, that how crazy football has become these days. So it will entirely be up to Ivan Toney what he does with those offers that are rumored to be tabled in front of him with the big guns of your Mighty Blues and the Mighty Gunners looking for his signature. Still with English football, the news that are coming out of the Liverpool camp is that their talisman and the Egyptian captain, that is Mohamed Salah, we saw him this week picking up an injury, and then it was feared that he might be out of action for a very long time. But the news that are coming out of the Egyptian camp and the Liverpool office is that they've just confirmed that he will be out of action for at least 2 weeks, meaning that he will only miss 2 games going forward. Should Egypt rather make it to the last 16, he will miss the last 16 game, so as the last pool game of Egypt. And then come end of the month, surely Liverpool will get to use Mohamed Salah in their game against Chelsea come end of this month. So that is the good news indeed, confirming that Mohamed Salah's injury is not as bad as it was anticipated when he was pulled out of the field when that was on a Thursday night. Still with the European football, Jordan Henderson, who was the captain of Liverpool, whom we saw last season, which is 6 months back, we saw him joining the Saudi Arabian outfit, that is Al Ettifaq, but he experienced a lot of backlash with the English fans boycotting every time he was coming to England. They were boycotting against him for putting the money against the principles, agreeing to play in Saudi Arabia, where it is known that the LGBTQI plus rights are suppressed in that part of the world. We remember that Jordan Henderson was the captain, was one of the leaders in as far as the English Premier League is concerned, who had been standing up for the LGBTQ plus community. And then in Saudi Arabia, we know that there is no room for those rights. So the people back in England, they have been targeting and protesting against Jordan Henderson for agreeing to ply his trade in Saudi Arabia. So by the look of things, it looks like Henderson has eventually gave in. He has terminated his contract with a Saudi Arabian team, Al Ettifaq. Remember that his contract was supposed to run 3 years, but he has asked the team to release him prematurely. And we are told that this week he sealed the deal with the European giants, the Netherlands giants, that is Ajax Amsterdam. He will definitely be moving to that part of the world. He will be playing his trade now in Netherlands, playing for Ajax Amsterdam. So there is good news indeed in as far as the activists in England are concerned. So it looks like they've definitely won this battle against Jordan Henderson, whom they believed he had betrayed the cause or the stance of the English people, the stance of the English Premier League, which in turn saw Henderson's chances of playing for the national team jeopardized because of that decision. So surely with Henderson now having moved back to Europe, having left Saudi Arabia, we might see Southgate considering or reinstating Henderson in the English national team. So we'll be watching that space and see how does that pan out. While on the other side, still with the Saudi Arabian football, with the Saudi Arabian football having come out under pressure for those LGBTQ plus rights, and with Henderson having asked to be released and leave the Saudi Arabian League, the Cristiano Ronaldo has come out strongly defending the Saudi Arabian League, saying it's even better now, it's even better than the French league, which is League One. Let's hear what CR7 CR7 had to say in as far as the Saudi Arabian league is concerned. I believe he was going all out to try and convince more quality players to come to Saudi Arabia and apply that their trade in that part of the world. Still with Saudi Arabia, don't forget that we heard the rumors that the French international, that is Benzema, he also wants out of that Saudi Arabian league. It is rumored that he might be joining Chelsea. We'll be watching that story with keen interest and see whether Benzema also as well leave Saudi Arabian league. But on that note, let's hear what CR7 had to say in as far as the Pro League is concerned, especially in comparison with the French league.
I think the Saudi league is not worse than French league, to be in my opinion. In French league, I think you have 2-3 teams with a good level. In Saudi now, I think it's a more competitive. They can say whatever they want. It's just my opinion, and I played there 1 year, so I know what I'm talking about. But I think right now we are better than French league, so we still improve. Many players move there, coaches, directives, even nutritionists. They moving there. So the Saudi is in the process. That will take long, but in a life we always say step by step we reach to the highest level. So I believe they're going to be in the top 3-4 in the world, but step by step I think we're going to reach that.
There was Cristiano Ronaldo coming out in defense of the Saudi Arabian League, that is the Pro League, saying that in a few years to come, surely the Saudi Arabian League, it will be in the top 3 in as far as the world leagues are concerned. So was he singing for his salary? We don't know. Only time will tell indeed in as far as CR7 Cristiano Ronaldo is concerned and the Saudi Arabian League, that is the Pro League, is concerned. Still with the international news, if you are a Manchester City fan, be worried and be very, very worried if you were to ask me. Why do I say that? Let's quickly go back to February last year, that was 2023. The news broke out that Manchester City, they were flighted or cited for having flouted, listen to this, 155 charges were rumored that they will be put against Manchester City for having flouted English Premier League financial rules or financial policies. The news that came out this week is that the presiding officer has definitely come up with the date and the time where Manchester City will definitely appear in front of that committee, which will be deciding their fate. Listen to this: 155 alleged charges against Manchester City. That is a bad news indeed, especially if you were to go back and see what happened to Everton last year. We saw Everton, they were docked 10 points with almost similar charges, but less than what Manchester City is facing. So if Everton facing lighter charges, but they were docked 10 points, and Manchester City facing the worst possible charges, so it looks like the worst might just happen in as far as the Manchester City is concerned. There are 2 possible scenarios. Should Manchester City be found guilty, they will be docked a lot of points, if you ask me. The worst case scenario, which is also a possibility, Manchester City might just be fired or be booted out of the English Premier League. Yes, you heard me right. That is one of the possible situations that Manchester City are facing. They might just be booted out of the English Premier League should they be found guilty. So it is a question of they will be buying time. So hence I said, if you are a Manchester City fan or supporter, be worried. Be very, very worried indeed.
Listening just got better.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I won't be the same again. Mama, I learned a lesson. All these years I've been back to you. I never thought
The best music variety live.
गोपियों संग घूमे कन्हैया, रास रचैया राधा ना जाए रे, अब सावरा ना भाए रे।
Radha on the dance floor, Radha likes to party, Radha likes to move that desi Radha body. Radha on the dance floor, Radha likes to party, Radha likes to move that desi Radha body.
पंखट पे आके सैया मरोड़े भैया,
And everybody blames it on Radha,
छेड़े हैं हम कन्हैया बेरी कन्हैया,
and everybody blames it on Radha.
होगा वो लाखों दिल का चोर, हमका तो लगे बोर, हुआ है ऐसे बावला जो कहता जाए।
ओ राधा तेरी चुनरी, ओ राधा तेरा छल्ला, ओ राधा तेरी नटखट नजरिया, ओ राधा तेरा झुमका, ओ राधा तेरा ठुमका, ओ पीछे पीछे सारी नगरिया। ओ राधा तेरी चुनरी, ओ राधा तेरा छल्ला, ओ राधा तेरी नटखट नजरिया, ओ राधा तेरा झुमका, ओ राधा तेरा ठुमका, ओ पीछे पीछे सारी नगरिया।
Radha on the dance floor, Radha likes to party, Radha likes to move that desi Radha body.
माथे पे पंख मोर कहते हैं माखन चोर, बजाए बांसुरी बढ़ाया चित्त चोर।
But Radha wants more,
ढूंढूंगी चारों ओर मिलेगा कोई और, दूंगी मैं हाथों में मेरे दिल की ये डोर।
'cause Radha wants more.
ओ राधा राधा भोली दीवानी है, ओ राधा राधा तो पल जवानी है, ओ राधा को संभालो कोई इसे बता दो कि मिलेगा न कोई सवरिया। ओ राधा तेरी चुनरी, ओ राधा तेरा छल्ला, ओ राधा तेरी नटखट नजरिया, ओ राधा तेरा झुमका, ओ राधा तेरा ठुमका, ओ पीछे पीछे सारी नगरिया। ये राधा राधा का है इतना गुरूर भला, छोड़ो भी नखरे ये कैसी अदा। तूने क्या सोचा एक तू ही मशहूर, यहाँ लाखों है गोपियां भी हम पे फिदा। हो सारी ही दुनिया ये मानी है, शुरू हमसे तेरी कहानी है।
ओ रहने तेरे कान्हा भूलेगा तू सताना, जो गिरूंगी मैं बन के बिजुरिया। डफली वाले डफली बजा, मेरे घुंघरू बुलाते हैं आ, मैं नाचूं तू नचा।
ओ राधा तेरी चुनरी, ओ राधा तेरा छल्ला, ओ राधा तेरी
Thank you so much to Soti, Aliyah, and Siddhartha. They gave us a Radha. Before that, we got Brenda Fassie. She gave us Mama, I Am Really, Really Sorry. How many of us who've got what it takes to acknowledge that they are at fault, and then we do apologize? And that was a great song in order by the legendary, the evergreen Brenda Fassie. And then after that, we were blessed to get that song Radha by Soti. featuring Aliyah and Siddharth. That takes time now to 5 minutes after 12 o'clock. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to the second and the final hour of this show. Looking at the third segment of the second segment that we're looking at, let's quickly dive straight to the English Premier League and see how the weekend's fixture is concerned as far as the English Premier League is concerned. This afternoon, the first game will see Crystal Palace invading Emirates Stadium as they face off with the mighty Gunners, that is Arsenal, while Brentford, which will be led by Ivan Toney, that we have just spoken about, who has just concluded his 8 months ban by the English Premier League. They welcome Nottingham Forest, and then come tomorrow we'll see West Ham United visiting Sheffield United, while Liverpool has got a date with Bournemouth. That will be the last game for the weekend. And then let's quickly cross the ocean, and then this time around we head straight to Spain. We find they have La Liga and see how the things are happening in as far as La Liga is concerned. There is the Spanish Football League. We saw last night Alaves pushing Cadiz straight to more danger zone when they beat them by 1-0. And then this afternoon, Spanish Football League continues. We'll see Las Palmas visiting Rayo Vallecano, while Villarreal welcome Mallorca. Valencia has got a date with Athletic Bilbao, while Celta Vigo welcome Real Sociedad. And then come tomorrow, we'll see Getafe visiting Osasuna, while the big Spanish giants Real Madrid, the mighty whites, Los Blancos, if you like, they welcome Almeria, who had played 20 games. Almeria, they haven't won even one game. So surely it is needless to say that Real Madrid are expected to walk all over Almeria come tomorrow afternoon. Excuse me for that. Real Betis welcome the Spanish giants, that is Barcelona, but you and I, we know them as Barcelona. And then the last game for the weekend, we'll see the current log leaders, the surprise package of the season, that is Girona. They will take on Sevilla. If you're wondering who's Girona is, who are currently leading the Spanish proceedings, just for your information, they are owned by the brother of Pep Guardiola. So surely that should tell you more than enough that it is no surprise if Girona is led by Pep Guardiola, who is the manager of Manchester City, who had last season won the treble. So it is in the family, in the Guardiola family. Still with the English Premier League, still talking of Girona leading the Spanish proceedings. Let's look at the Spanish league. At number one, Girona is at the summit after 20 outings. They've got 49 points, followed by Real Madrid, 19 outings. They've got 48 points. At number 3, Atletico Bilbao, after 20 games, they've got 41 points. The defending champions, Barcelona, after 19 outings, they've got 41 points. Tied up with Atletico Madrid. Both of them, they're all sitting at 41 points. Atletico Madrid as well as also played 19 games. At number 6, we've got Real Sociedad. After 20 outings, they've got 38 points. At number 7, Real Betis. After 20 outings, they've got 32 points. At number 8, we've got Valencia. After 20 outings, they've got 29 points. So surely the talk of the town as far as Spanish league is concerned, it is definitely who's this Girona, who are surprisingly leading the proceedings in as far as that part of the world is concerned. Let's quick go for a breather. When we return, we will definitely be in conversation with our football analyst Modiba Bate and hear what he has to say in as far as the sporting world is concerned. Time now, it is 12 minutes after 12 o'clock.
Looking to upgrade or repair your desktop or laptop? With over a decade's experience, TV Master specializes in software software installations, data recovery, restores, PC rebuilds, and conversions from VHS to USB or DVD. For no obligation quote, contact Pre on 011 855 6738 or 072 7706 796. TV Master, the name you can trust.
Ever heard a baby bellow at the top of its lungs in a public place, far from your best music track, right? For a more beautiful note, contact Nirvana Sounds for your studio and live recordings. We engineer sound to perfection according to your specifications. We ensure crisp and clear audio-video conversions and delight your function with sound, stage and lights for hire. Our quotes are pleasurable to the ear. Contact us now on 083 945 7664. Nirvana Sounds, powered by Gospel World FM.
Imagine a world with hunger. Now you can change it. With Ashraful Aid, just 10 Rand feeds a hungry person. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org and donate a plate today. Your generosity changes lives. Let's feed the hungry together.
The only thing that does matter is great music, and you will find it here.
Oh, we apologize for that technicality. It is taken care of. That is a Black Hole giving us 1,000 seconds. It is the original mix. Where were you when this song was doing the rounds? When we're getting down to this song, Black Hole, 1,000 seconds. The promise we make is the promise we keep. As we promised before we went for the commercial breather, is that when we return, we'll be in conversation with our sports analyst in the form and shape of Modiba Peter. Let's see if Modiba Peter is there on the line. Baba, are you there?
Yes, Bonolo, it's a very good afternoon to you and the team behind the scenes as well as the listeners, and it's compliment to you and all of the team as well. So yeah, it's good to be back.
Oh, compliments to you, Modiba Peter. That is for sure, and a warm welcome to 2024. Let's hope that we'll definitely have the great year in as far as the sporting world is concerned in this lovely year 2024. Modiba Organjan.
Indeed, yeah. As usual, we'll hit them. So the listeners must just stay tuned, and yeah, we'll dish out as they unfold and transpire.
Oh, they must stay tuned indeed and allow us to entertain them. Without any further ado, let's cut down to the business of the day. Cricket SA20 is definitely upon us. We also saw the cricket under-19 World Cup getting underway yesterday. Talk to us. What's happening in as far as the cricket world is concerned, Modiba?
So far, I've been concentrating on the Betway SA20 as it started towards the end of December there. So it's very interesting, and there were matches that took place. So I'll start with the results from Monday, where we saw Durban Super Giants played against Joburg Super Kings, where Durban Super Giants scored 145 runs per 8 wickets there after 20 overs. And then Joburg Super Kings, they managed to post 108 runs per 9 wickets after 20 overs. In that match, the likes of Hendrik Klassen managed to score for 64 runs, whereas Risa Hendricks posted 33 runs for himself there after 2 balls, and with Hendrik Klassen is 41 balls. So you can see that they were bringing experience into that match from the Cricket International. So as Durban Super Giants in that regard managed to win by 27 runs. And then on Tuesday we saw Sunrise Eastern Cape, the defending champions. They hosted MI Cape Town, and where we saw them, the Sunrise Eastern Cape posted 202 runs per 2 wickets there after 20 overs. And then with MI Cape Town managed to post 198 runs per 5 wickets after 20 overs as well. Rasif van der Dusen is one of the players as well who scored 41 runs from 28 balls. From the side of Sunrise Eastern Cape, we saw Jordan Heman there having scored 106 runs from 62 balls. So all in all, Sunrise Eastern Cape managed to win by 4 runs. And on Wednesday, we saw the very same Joburg Super Kings. This time around, they hosted Paarl Royals at the Bowland Park there, where they scored 134 runs at the Joburg Super Kings after 19 overs. And then Paarl Royals managed to post 135 runs per 3 wickets after 14.1 overs. They were just doing so well at Paarl Royals as they won by 7 wickets. And then on Thursday, we saw Pretoria Capitals there managed to host the Durban Super Giants there, and they posted 204 runs per 9 wickets after 20 overs, and Durban Super Giants managed to post 187 runs per 7 wickets there after 20 overs. And all in all, Pretoria Capitals managed to win by 17 runs. So yesterday we saw a match between Paarl Royals up against MI Cape Town, where Paarl Royals posted 172 runs per 8 wickets after 20 overs, and MI Cape Town managed to post 175 runs per 2 wickets after 16.5 overs. And Ryan Rickelton did exceptionally well as he collected the 94 runs individually from 52 balls. So which meant that MI Cape Town were victorious on 8 wickets. So in terms of the standings there, Paarl Royals are at top, having played 4 matches on 13 points alongside Super Giants. They're level on points, but they're separated by a net running rate. So, and MI Cape Town are just third there with 9 points after 4 matches, and Sunrise Eastern Cape, they are currently on 6 points at number 4, and Pretoria Capitals at number 5 with 4 points, and lastly Joburg Super Kings at number 6 with 2 points, having played 4 matches. So in terms of the fixtures that are taking place this afternoon, the Super Giants will host Sunrise Eastern Cape, the defending champions there in Durban, at 1:30 kickoff, and then the Joburg Super Kings will host Pretoria Capitals at 5:30, and then tomorrow there's Paarl Royals up against MI Cape Town in Paarl at Boland. The kickoff is at 3:30. Then lastly on Monday we've got Sunrise Eastern Cape up against the Pretoria Capitals at Gqeberha there in the Eastern Cape at 5:30 kickoff.
You mentioned when you look at the log standings of the Betway SA20 standings, you mentioned that as Joburg Super Giants, they are sitting at number 6 after 4 outings. They've only got 2 points rather. The big talking point is that Joburg Super Kings, after 4 outings, they have not won a match. And this afternoon, they are playing against it is a derby actually. It is the Yuksky derby as they take on the boys from the Pretoria Capitals all the way from Jacaranda City. So what can we expect in that game, considering the situation of Super Kings, that they seem to be struggling to register even one win even after 4 outings?
there's too much pressure there. So I think they need to start picking up points because they're supposed to play 10 matches. So currently they've played 4 matches. I think they can still bounce back with the 12 points that are still outstanding. They can try and finish within the top 4 teams. So failure to do that, I think they'll find themselves out of the competition. But I don't see them going to do that because teams like Pearl Royals and Durban Super Giants, they're really on form. So even Sunrise Eastern Cape, they surprised me as they are rooted 4th, but they are the defending champions. So there's too much pressure alongside these 2 teams.
Oh, too much pressure indeed. Pressure is definitely the order of the day in as far as the cricket game is concerned, in as far as the SA20 game is concerned. We're considering that the match itself only lasts as long as 20 overs. So you've got to do whatever that you can do within just being the shortest version of the game, just 20 overs. So looking at the log standings, still with the log standings, the defending champions, the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, how do you fancy their chances to eventually go all the way and maybe even defend their trophy or at least make it to the final?
So I'm not so sure if the game has been postponed. Remember when they were supposed to play the first match did not take place due to rainfall. Yes. So then it was said that the fans who were supposed to storm in at that venue they must go and claim their put this one, their payback,
get their refund,
their refund. I can put that way. Thanks so much. So they're supposed to go and claim the refund at the Ticket Pro. But so I don't know if the game will still going to progress because currently 4 teams, yes, and they've played 4 matches. There's only them and Pretoria Capitals. I think this game needs to go and play again. Hopefully they can collect 2 points there and get to 8 points, but they still need to improve as soon as possible. But they still have got enough matches going forward.
Diving from cricket, going straight to rugby. What's happening in as far as rugby is concerned, Modiba?
As you know, currently there's Investec Champions Cup taking place as United Rugby Championship is still on break, so hopefully it will resume next weekend. But we'll alert the listeners of the fixtures to look forward to of the United Rugby Championship. So currently I do have results of the matches that took place last week Friday, Saturday as well as Sunday, where we saw Northampton Saints there thrashing Bayonne there by 61 tries to 14, and then on Saturday we saw the Lyon there winning 34-20 against the Connacht. The Connacht is our very own URC team.
Yes.
And then we've got the Exeter Chiefs winning marginally the 1917 against the Glasgow Warriors, also Glasgow Warriors from the URC. And then there's the Bristol Bears, they're losing 17-31 against the Vodacom Bulls. Vodacom Bulls is also our very own URC as well. RC Toulon there losing 18-29 against the Munster. This is Munster are the defending champions of the URC as well. And then the Leinster 43-7 winning 43-7 against Stade de France. I think Jacqueline Berde is doing well ever since he arrived in that team. They've been rock solid, they've been rampant even in the URC, they're doing ever so well. So let's see, going forward, we've got the DHL Stormers, the runners-up of the URC last season, where they won 31-24 against the Shade Sharks. And then there's the Cardiff Rugby, they're losing 15-54 against the Harlequins. And then there's the Ulster losing 24-48 against the Cholos. Then on Sunday, we saw the Bath Rugby there winning 29-25 against the Racings 92. Racings 92, if you can remember very well, our very own Siya Kolisi is playing at that team. Yes, and started the Russia, they are defending champions. They finally start a victory as they thrashed the Tigers there by 45-12. Then there's Union Bodiacs, the Beckles, they're winning 55-12 against the Saracens. In terms of the pool standings, we've got the Bodiacs rooted top in Pool 1, followed by Lyon on 12 points as the Bodiacs are seated on 15 points, and then the Vodacom Bulls on 10 points at number 3, the Bristol Bears at number 4 on 5 points alongside Saracens at number 5, and lastly there's Connacht at number 6. They need to start picking up points there. Then in Pool 2, we've got the Toulouse and the Bath rooted on 15 points. That's separated on point difference there as Harlequins are rooted third there on 10 points. All the teams have played 3 matches, and the Ulster there at number 4 with 5 points. Then there's Racings 92 of the Siya Kolisi there with 3 points at number 5, and lastly Cardiff at number 6. It seems like so far in Pool 1 and Pool 2, our URC teams are not doing well. They need to work hard. And then in Pool 3, we've got the Northampton Saints there, rooted at number 1 on 14 points. Exeter Chiefs at number 2 with 13 points. Then there's Munster, our very own defending champions of the URC, at number 3 on 8 points. There's Glasgow Warriors there at number 4 with 5 points. There's Bayonne at number 5 with 3 points. and also RC Toulon at number 6 with 2 points. And lastly, in Pool 4, our very own Lisa, as I've spoken about, they've won all 3 of their matches there, and then seated on 14 points, followed by our very own Thomas there on 9 points at number 2. Then there's Lista there at number 3 on 9 points, and then the Rochelle, the defending champions, I think they need to start picking up points as well at number 4 with 7 points, and Saint Sharks at number 5 with 5 points, and lastly Stade Toulouse at number 6 with 1 point. Yeah, it's really happening, and in terms of the fixtures that are taking place, just go Warriors. They're supposed to play RC Toulon, and then Connacht Rugby there up against Bristol Bears, and then Sale Queens up against the Ulster. There's also Vodacom Bulls up against the Union Berdex Beckles there. Then the Leicester Tigers will host the Leinster. Let's see if the Leinster will continue with their run of form there. Racers 92 will host the Cardiff Rugby, and then Munster will host the Northampton Saints. The Stade France there will host the DHL Thomas, and the Saracens will also host the Lyon. And then tomorrow the Saint Sharks up against Stade La Rochelle, the defending champions there, and then Stade Toulouse will host the Bath Rugby. So yeah, very interesting in terms of the United Rugby, I should say, Investec Champions Cup is concerned. So let's see how they'll pan up and how these points, the victories, will affect their standings come next week when we bring in the result and look ahead to the URC United Rugby Championship.
Oh yes, indeed, very, very interesting indeed as far as rugby is concerned and Investec Champions Cup is concerned. I'm happy that you did mention that that the French outfit Racing 92, that's where Sia Collis is playing his trade. He's also with his Springbok captain, that is Trevor Anyakane, who is a prop for the Might Springbok. He's also playing for Racing 92. Still with Racing 92, the news that came out this week is that the England captain Owen Farrell is also rumored to be heading to Racing 92. So we'll be following that story with a keen interest and see whether the England captain, that is Owen Farrell, who also happens to be the son of Andy Farrell, who is the head coach of Ireland, might just make his way to France and join Racing 92 and be the teammate of our own Springbok captain, that is Sia Collis. Now, diving from rugby straight to tennis, Australian Open is definitely upon us. Emotive, talk to us. What's happening in that part of the world is in as far as tennis is a concern down under?
Is really happening in that side, and the players are really main business there. As we saw, the likes of Novak Djokovic are still in it, and also Carlos Alcaraz are still in it. I'll start with the main third round results of the matches that took place and look ahead to some of the matches that will be taking place from both the men and the women this wonderful weekend. So we saw Novak Djokovic managed to defeat Thomas Echeverry there 6-3, 6-3, 7-6 on 3 tests there, on 3 sets, 3-0 there. So that's Yannick Sinner who's rated 4th on the rankings, defeated Sebastian Baez there 6-0, 6-1 and 6-3. He also won all the sets. Then Andrei Rublev there defeated Sebastian Korda 6-2, 7-6 as well as 6-4 also 3 sets. And then Stefano Tsitsipas the last year's runners-up. As you remember, he lost to Novak Djokovic. Yes, Novak Djokovic is the defending champions of this wonderful Australian Open. So this time around, he managed to collect a victory at the expense of Luca van Asch there, 6-3, 6-0 as well as 6-4. I think the experienced players, the top 10 players so far, are doing so well. And Alex de Minaur as well managed to defeat Flavio Capoli there, 6-3, 6-3 as well as 6-1. So, and this Taylor Fritz, who won against Fabien Marozsan there, he managed to lose the first test, then 3-6, but recovered from the second test, third test, as well as the fourth test. It sets the 6-4, 6-2, and 6-2. And then Karen Khachanov there defeated Thomas Machak there 6-4, 7-6, and he only lost the fourth set there 4-6, but managed to recover on the last set 7-6. So, and you look at from the women's side, Arina Sabalenka there, as the defending champion there. She defeated Licia Turenko there 6-0 and 6-0 on 2 sets there. Very fantastic performance there. Coco Gauff there as well. Defeated Alicia Parks there 6-0 and 6-2. And then Barbara Krejcikova there as she managed to defeat Storm Hunter there 7-5 and 6-3, but she lost the first sets 4-6. And then lastly, there's Maria Timofeeva there as she defeated Beatrice Haddad Maia there our very own top 10 ranker there. That was the upset as well, 7-6 and 6-3. And in terms of the fixtures from the men's side, we've got Gregory Dimitrov, which are progressing today. You will host Nino Borges. Cameroon Nor, they will play against Kaspar Ruud. Then Ugo Humbert, they will host against Herbert Hukax. Daniel Medvedev there, he will play against Felix Auger. And then Tommy Paul there, he will be playing against Mayobin Kikmanovic there. Then Jan Chen Shang there will play against Carlos Alcaraz. And from the women's side, we've got Iga Swiatek there. She will be playing up against Linda Neskova there. And then there's Jelena Ostapenko up against Victoria Azarenka. There's Elina Svitolina there up against Victoria Golubic there. There's Emma Navarro there up against Diana Yastremska there. And then also Shinen Sheng there up against Shingu Wang. Yeah, very interesting. Let's see, because the next they will be playing for the last 16. Let's see if they will be able to do well. Hopefully next week when they come in, they will be in semifinals and the final to look ahead. So question is, will Carlos Alcaraz string a surprise, or will Novak Djokovic defend this title? We'll have to wait and see. From the women's side, will Arina Sabalenka defend the title, or will Coco Gauff this time around string a surprise that just like he did during the Roland Garros? Very interesting. Let's wait and see.
There is Australian Open ended. That's where and see ended. Modiba, I don't know whether it's me. Did I miss out something or what? I didn't hear you mentioning anything about Rafael Nadal. Is he playing, or is he still injured, or has he been booted out? Where is Rafael Nadal?
Well, when we were doing preparations of this wonderful Australian Open, he stated that he won't be able to participate in this Australian Open because he's been having an injury. So one may call it an injury prone because he's missed so much. Even last year, we did the Wimbledon, Roland Garros, the recent French Open, so he wasn't there. So currently, he updated us of the fact that he won't be able to play in this wonderful Australian Open, which means it's a missed opportunity because his intentions were that he wants to catch up with Novak Djokovic, as we know that he's currently on 25 Grand Slams and Rafael Nadal is seated on 22 Grand Slams. So he was so unhappy with that.
Oh, that is painful indeed in as far as Rafael Nadal is concerned. Remember that he sustained this injury in this very same Australian Open. That was same time last year and this time around. So it's almost a year since Rafael Nadal last played professional or competitive tennis football. It is bad news indeed as far as Rafael Nadal is concerned, and also for his fans, and also an opportunity of, like you rightfully said, Modiba, that he wanted to come and try and play catch up in as far as the Grand Slam wins are concerned, in as far as Novak Djokovic is concerned. So that hip injury seems to be having the final say, Modiba.
But it's very surprising, Sibonelo. If you can check, I did some comparison with him and Novak Djokovic. I think they are separated by months. The other one is 36 years old. The other one will be turning 37. That is Rafael Nadal. And you look at Novak Djokovic there, as he said that he is taking his diet so well and exercising, but he's an injury-free player. So you look at Rafael Nadal, yes, he's always injured, which puts some question marks. That's why he's doing so well, and he doesn't. I think he might play until he reaches 40 years of age. But it's very impressive for me, Novak Djokovic, and I foresee him. I foresee him defending his title, not unless Carlos Alcaraz comes up with a surprise.
Oh, yes, we'll see the big responsibility. Now, it is sitting with Carlos Alcaraz to try and challenge the evergreen Novak Djokovic, who seems to be aging like a wine these days. The older he gets, the better he becomes. That is the 36 years old Novak Djokovic, who is forever blossoming, forever green. Now, changing gears from tennis, diving straight to football. That is in West Africa. That's where Africa Cup of Nations is currently underway. The home side, Cote d'Ivoire. Talk to us, Modiba. What is your take in as far as the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations is concerned? Looking at the excitement, the attendance in the stadium, and how much drama or attention or has that Africa Cup of Nations built in that part of the world, that is in West Africa, Cote d'Ivoire to be exact, Modiba.
as it is the 34th annual AFCON and it's happening. We're seeing surprises, upsets, accompanied by upsets. Yeah, it's very happening there.
Oh,
Challenge
surprises.
Ogunje.
Hey, surprises, ngapha na ngapha.
Surprises, ngapha na ngapha. So I'll start with the matches that took place last week Saturday. As we spoke about Ivory Coast, they are current host of this wonderful tournament,
Yes.
and so far it's been happening. It's been entertaining. So we are really watching and enjoying at the edge of our seats there. So Ivory Coast hosted Guinea-Bissau there as they won the first match by 2-0. We saw Seko Fofana there scoring the goal as well as Philippe Crasso there. So for them to win that first match, but they didn't do well. We'll talk about them shortly. And on Sunday, we saw Nigeria playing 1-0 draw against Equatorial Guinea. Victor Osimhen there alongside Ivan Salvador were the two goal scorers for their teams there. And then Egypt played to a 2-2 draw against Mozambique. The interesting part about this game between Egypt and Mozambique was that Mozambique has never beaten Egypt in the last 5 matches, and they've never scored even a single goal against Egypt. But this time around, they turned the tables and they made Egypt dig deeper in search of the equalizer because they were almost losing and the fans were panicking at the bench until the VAR came to the party and allowed them a penalty where Mohamed Salah managed to score that penalty. What a hell game it was. I enjoyed that game as well. I even saw Elias Belembe, as you know, he's 40 years of age.
Oh, yes.
And yes, the current Kaizer Chiefs, Admilson Dove as well. He was giving Salah a run for his money. They closed him down so well there. So, and we saw Ghana there going down against Cape Verde, the 2-1. So what a
Sure,
surprise!
what an upset that was.
It was an upset. I never saw them winning, as you know. They are beginning them Bakana, so they've done well always in AFCON. So Orlando Pirates goalkeeper, just before he was in goals and he conceded 2 goals. I think he was let down by his defense because he made some crucial saves in that match. But the likes of Jamiro Monchiro as well as Gary Rodriguez were the goal scorers, and they conceded goal late on the 19th minute. I think lapse of concentration there dealt with them. So on Monday we saw the Lions of Teranga there, the defending champion Senegal, they're winning 3-0 against Gambia there. So where we saw Lamine Camara scoring a brace and Pape Gueye they're scoring as early as the 4th minute. So they really mean business. And Cameroon as well, they played to a 1-0 draw against Guinea where Frank Magri they scored on the 55th minute, and then Mohamed Bayos took the lead as early as the 10th minute for Guinea. So Algeria played to a 1-0 draw as well against Angola where Baghdadi Bonija there scoring the goal for Algeria, and Mabulul there scoring from the penalty there as Angola scored on the 67th minute. Then we saw Burkina Faso on Tuesday winning 1-0 against Mauritania. I think in that game where we saw Batman Traore scoring a late penalty, they were let down by one of the defenders because in that game Mauritania created so many chances but they were not clinical. So and one of the players tackled inside the box, which I think was a wrong decision or option for him to do that. So it was the match they won. And then we also saw Tunisia going down against Namibia, another upset, 1-0 away.
Oh, that was the mother of all upsets in as far as the AFCON is concerned.
Indeed, as we know, they previously won the AFCON, and Namibia as well. John Hoto, the Orlando Pirates player, they're scoring from a header. What a fantastic header it was from a wonderful cross that was whipped in inside the box there, as late as the 87th minute. And then late on that day, Bafana they were playing Mali, and they were thrashed 2-0 there as the Haman Traore as well as Sinayoka, they're scoring the 2 goals for Mali. So as Mali previously, they've beaten us twice. In 2002, I remember Hans Fonk was in goals. We lost 2-0. And then currently, in 2013, we also played Mali in the quarterfinals of the very same competition, AFCON. And then we lost on penalties there, 3-1, after playing 1-0 draw during extra time. And on Wednesday, we saw Morocco winning 3-0 against Tanzania. By the way, this is a team that finished 4th as far as the World Cup is concerned. Remember, they lost in the semifinals, but they had to play 3rd and 4th place. But unfortunately, they lost that match. But on the day, the likes of Romain says, Azedine or Unahi there, as well as Youssef Nasri, they were the goal scorers. So with Zambia playing 1-0 draw against the DR Congo. And then on Thursday, we saw Equatorial Guinea thrashing Guinea-Bissau by 4-2. And also Ivory Coast going down, the host there against Nigeria 1-0 from a penalty scored by Ekong there. So the VAR had to come to the party as well here. And then Egypt to play 2-2 draw against Ghana. So I think in that game, Ghana must have hit themselves because they also missed chances and they couldn't hold on to their lead as they scored first, and then Egypt equalized, and then they went on to score another second goal, Ghana, and then Egypt equalized late again. So, and from defensive error, as the player was trying to play a back pass there. So, and yesterday we saw Cape Verde winning 3-0 against Mozambique. Mozambique, I don't know what happened from that performance against Egypt. They went on to drop the ball, and Cape Verde managed to win again as they defeated Ghana in the first match, which means that they've already qualified to the next round, despite the last match still outstanding. So we also saw Senegal also thrashing Cameroon, final before final here, 3-1. And then lastly, Guinea winning 1-0 against Gambia. It's really happening in the AFCON.
And then there is a Cameroon goalkeeper drama. There is the English-based Andre Onana drama. What is your take in as far as Andre Onana goalkeeping drama, arriving 4 o'clock in the morning with the game taking place in the afternoon, 5 p.m.? Talk to us. What's your take in as far as Andre Onana fiasco is concerned?
I think he lacks discipline for me, and a very comedian when I saw him at the pitch yesterday. So he wanted to throw ins. Teams are trying to play free kicks in attack. So he also next to the players. So I don't know if he's a captain, the coach. Very confusing. He's just a clown, and he was just training on the social media. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw him. And you look at the way he considered the third goal.
The third goal, and so Sadio Mane's goal, yes.
And he just placed that ball. He just passed the net as easily, but he was there. So I think he could have done better because that ball was.
Surely that was a soft goal.
It was a soft goal, by the way, from where I was seated. I couldn't stop laughing that he's not concentrating. He's lacking discipline. I think the management and the technical team need to sit down with him. Because previously, we know that the Cameroonian goalkeepers are so good, but he's letting the team down. And from how things are standing as far as the groups are concerned, so they might not make it into the knockout stages because currently they're seated on 1 point, and I see Senegal are routed first, which means Senegal have qualified to the next round. And then there's Guinea also, they managed to win, which means Guinea are routed second following that victory against Gambia on 4 points. So Cameroon and Gambia, they're in a situation whereby they might go home, but we'll have to wait and see when they're going to play their third game. So in Group G, there's Burkina Faso as well. So they're still going to play. They're currently routed first with 3 points, followed by Algeria and Angola on 1 point apiece there. There's Mauritania at number 4 on 0 points. Then we saw also, let me just give pictures of the matches that will be taking place today. Algeria will host Burkina Faso at 4 o'clock. Mauritania will also be hosting Angola at 7 o'clock. And lastly, Tunisia will host Mali. I think those two listeners are in a group. So I think Bafana needs to, I think we will be watching it a clear, serious eye, whereby if Mali were to win, definitely they will qualify for the next round. So Tunisia and South Africa, they're still yet to record a victory. So it's going to be happening tomorrow. There's Morocco up against DR Congo at 4 o'clock. Zambia will host Tanzania at 7 o'clock. And lastly, as South Africa will be hosting Namibia. It's going to be interesting. You can take you back to Orlando Stadium. I remember I was in studio where we spoke about fans that coming to the venue, and where we're not winning the regalia as far as the t-shirts are concerned. So we played goalless draw at Orlando Stadium. I think they might know what to expect from us. So yeah, very interesting weekend to look forward to.
Very interesting indeed. Still with the Cameroon goalkeeper Andre Onana. Surely I wouldn't have said it better myself. You called him a clown, a comedian. Surely I think that's what Andre Onana is. In as far as Cameroonian football is concerned, personally, don't you think is some kind of pushing or putting Cameroon football into a disgrace? Because I don't think he's got respect for the country, the way he's doing things, the way he carries himself, Modiba.
Most definitely, and if you can check how they are seated on that position, a draw or lose will definitely mean that Cameroon for the first time will be booted out. And so he's not concentrating, he's not respecting the technical team and the badge of the team of the country as well. So for me, it's uncalled for and unacceptable. So he needs to change his attitude. But here, I can assure you, Cameroon will go home. So, but let's wait and see when they will be playing the next match against Gambia. So it is a battle for survivors, but Gambia as well, they will be going home because already they've lost 2 matches. So, but I think Cameroon will wish that Senegal do them favors against Guinea, which I don't see it happening because currently Guinea, I should say, they're having a better goal difference. So Cameroon will need to dig deep.
So if you were to be Cameroon's coach, that is a Ricopet song, in as far as the goalkeeping position is concerned, in the last game, what will you do? Do you keep Andre Onana in the starting lineup or do you drop him?
because of I need points, I'll have to go back to basics of the goalkeepers who were playing before this World Cup qualifications. And in fact, AFCON qualifications, as far as the group stages were concerned. So the goalkeeper that did well, they must return him back. So I don't know if the previous goalkeeper who played in the previous AFCON was selected. If it is the case, then they must just go with the same goalkeeper, but not Andre Annan. They will definitely lose this match if they are not careful.
That's what our sports analyst Modiba Peter has just called that. Should he be in Cameroon's coach? That is a Ricopete song. Come at the last game, he will definitely drop the Manchester United first choice goalkeeper. That is the Andre Onana because of his comical performance. Still with the African Cup of Nations, let's come back close at home. Bafana, they took on Mali. Talk to us. Where did we go wrong Tuesday night?
The first mistake that we made was that Pesita with the missing of a penalty, because if you can check in that game, Mali took the game to us. It was a high tempo game where they attacked us left, right and center, but we managed to absorb the pressure in the first 10 minutes. But as far as the 10 minutes is concerned, we started dishing out those passes in the middle of the park where I saw Teboho Mokoena, Sepelo Stole and Chapelo Masoko. They tried their best, but they were not in the game enough. So I think that's where our downfall was. Had we scored that penalty, I think it would have changed the complexion of the match. But then Mali felt confident and they pushed hard. Even as well, they did get some few chances where Roland Williams as well, he made some good saves. And then in the second half, as soon as we considered that set piece, I think our defensive pairing let us down there. Mutobim Vala and Sianda Tuli get the two goals that we considered. Mutobim Vala considered a free kick and he was cautioned in that regard, as we saw one of the players, the free set piece there. I don't know, Roland Williams made a save, but with the hit of a crossbar, but there were players in between to tap the ball in the back of the net. I thought Sianda Tulu as well as Mutobim Vala reacted late there. They could have done better. So also the second goal, run of play, Sianda Tulu could have done better as well. So, and you know that he had not been playing at SuperSport United, which posed some question marks as to why Grant Kekana or Smith Costa TBC are kept on the bench. Very questionable there by the coach. So, and wrong option. And we spoke about him having left the strikers at home. Ikram Reyners, Tohofatso Mabasa, Kanyisa Maya, as well as Bradley Grobler of SuperSport United. So those strikers are amongst the top 4 of the top goal scorers. So it was so surprising, and I kept asking myself, what do they need for them to which merits do they need to convince the coach Hugo Bruce there? So it was not looking good at all. So, but they tried to penetrate, but not enough. Most of the time when they attack, they use those long balls, and you know those players are very tall and very strong. They've got good physique. Mali players, they don't manage to deal with Bafana's balls easily. So the only chances I can remember is that missing of a penalty where Pesita, I thought he should have allowed Teboho Mokoena, because he was the first player who took the ball to kick that penalty, but he came in and he took that ball in front of him and he missed that penalty. I think he leaning back with his body was just his downfall. So maybe Teboho Mokoena would have converted that penalty. So, and he was not in the game for me. He was also playing his heart. He looked frustrated the entire match. So, which I still wish Hugo Bruce can make some few changes going to play Namibia. And I'm speaking of Namibia, they've got players who are playing in the DStv Premiership. I was impressed with their goalkeeper, Lord Kazapua, who's playing for Chippa United, Rian Hanamub, who's playing for Amazulu, Dion Hoto, who's playing for Orlando Pirates, Peter Shalulile. I think Peter Shalulile needs to work on his offside, because whenever I've seen him at his local club, Mamelodi Sundowns, he's always offside whenever the team is in attack, which means you are easing pressure for the oppositions for them to how can I put that, to breathe a sigh of relief. That's where I feel he needs to do better going forward. But then there's the other one who's called Lubeni Hakonga, yes, who's playing for Cape Town Spurs. So they played so well and they know what to expect tomorrow. So I think we are in a must-win situation. Failure to win tomorrow might mean that we might pack our bags, because a win for Namibia will mean that we are through to the last 16, as well as Mali. I think Mali also will want to do well this evening.
Considering that tomorrow we are in a must-win situation when we take on Namibia. Surely you saw the game against the Bafana game against Mali. So coming to tomorrow's game, looking at the starting 11 that started the game against Mali and taking a must-win situation come tomorrow night against Namibia, which players would you strongly believe that Hugo Bruce should drop come tomorrow afternoon, or should start when we take on Namibia come tomorrow afternoon?
I think at the back for me, essentially, you need to make one change. It's either you bring in Nkosinathi Sibisi or Kanketana for Sianda Kulu, because Sianda Kulu for me, he hasn't been playing, so he was just exposed for me. That's where we made things wrong. Mutobim he was okay, but then who are you playing with? So Hugo Broos, as you know, he also made blunders whenever he took a decision to select players. He selected some of the players who are not playing at their respective clubs. That was his downfall. Players who are off form as well. Zakelele Pasa, a typical example as well. So whereas strikers are doing well. So in the middle of the pack, I wasn't impressed with his Pepelos, Tall. So I thought he could have done better for me. So, and then you look at the likes of Jaden Adams, I think they need to be given a chance as well. Oswin Apolis as well is part of that team. Mikhali Mayambela, I think one of these three might start the match. So I think he brought in Thapelo Maseko of the fact that if I can go back to Mamelodi Sundowns' Bonelo, I realized that remember when they playing African Football League, the very same Thapelo Maseko, he was the top goal scorer. Hence he considered him for this match, but the occasion was too big for him. Although he tried his best at some point, but not enough. So that's where I think he needs to fix the midfield. Up front, Chambazwani needs to come more into the game because I was so disappointed with how he displayed himself there. So I don't know if this time he can just opted for Zakelele Pasa ahead of Evidence Mahopa, because Evidence Mahopa for me, despite the penalty that he was elbowed, gave nothing in that match. So let's try Zakelele Pasa and see, because for us to be in this situation, I will blame the coach with the GPS decisions he made. Dropping off on-form players and playing players who are off form and who are not playing at their regular clubs.
So, in as far as tomorrow's game is concerned, did I get you right by saying that if you were to be the Bafana coach, you will definitely drop Sianda Kulu at the back. You will also drop Sithole. Those are the two players that you strongly feel should be dropped, or are there any players that you feel they should definitely be dropped in as far as tomorrow's game is concerned, Mutiba?
Even the striker Evidence Mahopa for me,
Mahopa must go.
Well. Yeah, so he must just sacrifice him with Zakelele Pasa. Let's see if it will work. But as you know, he's always playing with midfielders, our coach. So, but this was one striker thing is not working for us. So he also made some wrong decisions by not selecting some of the players he should have selected coming into this wonderful AFCON. So yeah, but let's see. But we are just under pressure for me. So I watched Namibia against Tunisia. The way they pressed Tunisia. We are in for a hiding come tomorrow. It's going to be a tough game.
It is going to be a tough game indeed, especially considering that we seem not to know exactly who is our coach. Is Hugo Broos our coach, or the Minister of Arts, Sports and Culture, Zizi Kodwa, our new coach? Talk to us. Who's Bafana's coach, by the way?
I couldn't stop laughing when I saw the clip on social media. So he was just coaching the players at the same time.
The minister,
the minister, and the coach was just seated on the side. So, but for me, I had this kind of, I was asking myself this questions as to why is the coach down? His confidence is so down. If you watch that game against Namibia, Mali, you realize that he wasn't talking to the players. He wasn't standing up. He wasn't dishing out instructions. I don't know what's going on there. So you can see that there's some bit of interference as far as the Minister of Sports, Zizikotwa, as well as Danny Jordan is concerned, because they were both inside the dressing room. What they are doing there, I don't know. So people were saying, people so they can.
Only in South Africa where you get to see the Minister of Arts, Sports and Culture in the dressing room coaching the national team. so we'll be watching the news, surely knowing Hugo Broos being vocal as he is, surely after this tournament he will come out and vent out, like you rightfully said, that Hugo Broos' body language was telling a story that he seemed to be unhappy with something. There is a possibility of interference from the politicians and from SAFA. So surely Hugo Broos will definitely spill the beans come and offer this tournament. Still with the Africa Cup of Nations, talk to us. Whom do you expect to walk away victors? Your predictions in as far as the championship is concerned of this 2024 version is concerned, Mutiba?
Currently, because of Egypt, Cameroon are not doing well, and there are the possibility that they might go home. For now, I'll stick with Morocco and the defending champions, the Lions of Teranga, Senegal, for me.
Cote d'Ivoire, the home side, and Nigeria?
Cote d'Ivoire also, if they don't win the next game, possibly they might put it out. So we said Nigeria. Nigeria impressed me against Ivory Coast as well, as they won 1-0 there. So, but they're very disciplined at the back, although they conceded in the first match when they drew 1-0. So let's see in the third match. But for me, up to so far, no. I'll go with Morocco or Senegal.
The Lions of Taranga, that is the defending champions, Senegal, and the Atlas of Africa, that is the Morocco. The Total Sports analyst Modiba Peter has tipped to walk away victors come end of this Africa and Cup of Nations 2012 version is concerned. Now, time is definitely not on our side. Diving straight from West Africa, coming straight closer to home, that is the DSTV Premiership transfer news. Are there any transfer news that are taking place in as far as with the currently transfer window is concerned, Modiba?
Currently, we've got a lot. So I'll start with Chippa United. As you know, they chop and change coaches like a spaza shop. So currently...
Why am I not surprised?
They've just taken Morgan Mamila back to the technical director, and they appointed Tabo September, as well as Kanole Popo, as co-coaches. As you know, Chippa Mpenges, Morgan Mamila wasn't doing well at TGA. In the last 8 matches that he played, he only secured 1 victory. So the owner was not happy with that. So very interesting. Then let's see if they'll do well, although they'll work together at SuperSport United, one being the assistant coach to Gavin Hunt, Konale Popo, and he was also coaching at Pretoria Calais there. So Tabo September, I'm not so sure, because if he does have experience, because he's coming from the MTC, it's very interesting. As it is his hometown, is from Eastern Cape, by the way. And then we saw Augustine Molenga just returned back to Amazulu, following that short stint with Chippa United as well. So the striker there. So Amazulu also parted ways with Tshaonolo Majoro. And then they also signed the left back Sifiso Ngobeni, who was at Mamelodi Sundowns and SuperSport on 6 months loan. By the way, they parted ways with Sifiso Mabili, so the former Kaizer Chiefs as well, due to ill-disciplined behavior. And then Golden Arrows, they've just announced Kagiso Malinga, striker from Swallows there. I think we'll be playing alongside the likes of Nats Mutizwa and Lungelo Nkuse up front. I think that's where they're also lacking. So very interesting. And then we also received the news that Swallows have dismissed 22 players. What a surprise. And some of those players are regular starters in the team. Daniel Akpe, imagine the experience of Daniel Akpe, Ntsako Makubela, Bongani Sam. Those players were playing regularly.
Mchali as well. I saw Mchali on that list.
Mchali, former Golden Arrows, yes, he's also on the list. So, but I think we'll also dissect it further maybe to terms of concepts when we come back next week. So, and also we saw as I spoke, Kamabiliat is currently training with SuperSport United. Finally. So I think Gavin Hunt, for me, he might sign him. Remember when Kaizer Chiefs were banned from the signing players and Gavin Hunt was the head coach, he played under Gavin Hunt. So I foresee that move going to happen. And then from the Nedbank Cup, there was a draw that took place in the last 22. Yes, it will begin on the 20th of February. The final will take place on the 1st of June. If I can quickly, in the next 2 minutes, reveal those fixtures. Lamasia up against Mamelodi Sundowns, Mountain Golden Arrows against Chess Galaxy, JDR Stars against Hungry Lions, SuperSport United will host Cape Town City, University of Pretoria will host Cape Town Spurs, Maritzburg United will host Paarl United, Safa MP will host Orlando Pirates, Stellenbosch will host Pretoria Calais, Highlands Park will host Hugo United, Amazulu will host Royal AM in KZN Derby there, NC Professionals will host Chippa United, Platinum City Rovers will host Morocco Solos, Richards Bay will host Polokwane City, FC Ravens will welcome Spain FC, The General will host Madridas, and lastly Kaizer Chiefs will host Milford FC from the Mutipe Foundation.
Oh, that's going to be a last 32 mouth-watering fixture indeed as far as the Nedbank is concerned, Modiba. And just for the benefit of for the interest of our listeners, I heard you mentioning the General. Surely, if memory serves me well, that team is owned by one of the radio presenters of Lesedi FM, that is Batu Kada, all the way from Bloemfontein, Botshabelo to be exact. They will be participating in this year's last 32 Nedbank Cup.
I think they'll feel confident. They'll want to get the team. It's a cup of dreams, cup of upsets. I can't wait. Yeah. So I don't know if that dream team is still available, where they'll play the champions come next year, just like in the past. But I didn't see it this current season. So hopefully things will change. Let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see, indeed. Thank you very much, Modiba, for your time. Talking of time, it is definitely one of our biggest enemies this time around. It is definitely not on our side, Modiba. Thank you very much for your time, Baba.
Much appreciated, and it's a very good afternoon to you and to the team behind the scenes as well as the listeners. Let's talk more. They must stay tuned to Nirvana World FM. Your beat, your music will bring them as they unfold. So I am Mutiba Johannes Peter. Let's talk more next weekend. It's a very good afternoon once more.
A very good afternoon indeed, Mutiba Peter. Thank you very much for your time. Let's do this once again. Come next week at 5 minutes after 12 o'clock. It is unfortunately the time of the show where I have to love and leave you. But as always, I leave you in the warm and capable hands of my colleague NK as he brings you easy early drive. He's going to be with you between 1 and 3 p.m. So don't you dare move a muscle. Just stay tuned and be entertained. Till then, I am Spanalo Ngobo, and it is bye-bye.